has turned out to be a lot more value than I had expected. I'm only halfway through, and there's so much value, and it's things I've heard before, but it's the way it's presented where it's like I'm going to incorporate this into my business. Yeah, I'm very excited about it, and I will come to every one of his trainings. Everybody would get value out of this.
Right? But if I ask you enough questions and you start unpeeling and peeling and peeling, you're selling you on you. You're selling you on your own idea. What are you trying to say, Joey? We're talking too much. If we ask enough questions, they're going to sell themselves. And guess what? I'm the closest person by them.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Thank you for being here today. I'm here actually going to be introducing Joey Satariano. He is your trainer today. A little bit about Joey. Him and I, we go back about 22 years from Nordstrom. So Joey Satariano is sought out after professional trainer and author for the last 25 years, excelling as a sales and service professional, personally trained for top companies, franchise owners for such as Keller Williams, Chat, Remax, Nordstrom, Loan Express Company, Sacramento Association of Realtors, and Century 21, having helped over 10,000 people excel in the area of sales and service. So let's go ahead and give it up for Joey Satariano.
How's everybody doing today? Awesome. I have so much energy. I've only had 9 cups of coffee, so I'll do the best I can to keep it under control. So thank you so much for coming. And one of the things that I've shared in all of my trainings is we have to be willing as sales professionals to abandon our entire presentation in a moment in order to connect with who's in front of us. You guys agree? So how about I just lead from that place, and how about I just kind of randomly over the next 5 minutes, our schedule's really tight today, by the way, so everybody should have a schedule, so if we could please try to lead by that schedule, because it is being videoed. So in the next 5 minutes, let's just talk a little bit about, I want to get in your mind, and I want to hear what it is that you guys were hoping to get when you signed up, and I'm going to do the best I can to weave that within my content. Is that fine? I mean, I have an idea. I have enough content here to fill us all the way. I mean, we're supposed to be out, 9 o'clock tonight? Right? Only 2 people remember that. So I have enough content here, but I'm willing to throw it all away in a moment if you guys need something else. Does that make sense? Because I really believe in order for us to be professionals and masters in our craft, there's a reason why it's called buyer mastery. Mastery is a place that we're pursuing all the time, right? But we have to be so well-rounded in our profession that we'd be willing to throw our entire presentation away because the person in front of us has something else they need to talk about. Make sense? So let's start. What did you guys come here for? To learn, okay. Tell me more about that. Learn. New things, okay. Okay, perfect. I love it, I love it. It's never the thing, it's always a thing under the thing. So as I keep prying, I want to really get into, the more specific we are today, the more we can get to the places that we want to go. So what specifically do you guys want to learn today?
What's inside of the buyer's?
Just real quick. What's that?
What's inside of the buyer's mind?
What's inside of the buyer's mind? Okay. Mind reading. That's okay. Mind reading. Should I put mind reading? Mind reading. I set myself up, so. Can somebody get that door for me, please? Mind reading. Ooh, okay. I'll try to get close. Okay. What else?
Keeping the buyer.
Keeping the buyer. Tell me more about that. What do you mean by keeping the buyer?
Sometimes you have buyers and you take them out and all of a sudden they disappear.
Okay.
Or to stop at an open house without you and write an offer up without you.
Okay. So keeping the buyer. I like it.
Creating that strong bond.
Okay, I like that. That's the one. Remember I told you it's not the thing, it's always the thing under the thing. So strong bond, right? Perfect. Okay. So when you signed up and decided to spend the next 12 hours in this training, what did you want to get out of it? I should probably have you write, Marlena. Your writing's a lot better than mine. They're going to leave. If I keep writing, they're going to walk out. What do you guys want to learn? Tools, okay. But tell me more specifically. Guys, this is going to be very interactive. I want this to be a mastermind. You guys with me? Because at the end of the day, we're all learning. So please, Jason.
I came to find out what some of you top producers are just doing on a daily basis to grow your businesses.
Okay, got it. So tips on how to grow business, does that work? Anything specific in that? Because the more we dig deep, the more we're going to get to the source.
I think once we get into it, I might have more questions about
Perfect.
specific, but I think just on a broad stroke, what are you guys doing maybe on a daily basis or a daily routine? What are you guys doing every day that some of us that are newer to the business may not know?
Okay, daily routine. Perfect. I love it.
Setting expectations.
Setting expectations. Tell me more about that.
More as far as for us with our clients. Because I feel like our clients have certain expectations, and until we can really discover what their expectations are, we don't know.
So discovering their expectations. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Discovering. Anyone else? This is going to be a short class. Please.
So I'd like to know, I'm really new, so I'd like to know the actual
Well, what is really new?
steps.
Can I have a numeric value for really new?
Like a year.
A year. That's not really new.
So I'd like to know the actual steps of beginning the listing to the finishing process, if there's such a thing.
Okay.
Like that.
Well, the listing class is great. That's May 8th in Santa Clara County Association of Realtors. You made it that easy. I'm only 5 minutes in. That was, we didn't stage that, by the way. We didn't stage that. So it's geared more towards buyer mastery as far as really digging in and working effectively with buyers. Okay, the steps. Okay, perfect. So steps to working with a buyer.
Joey, I don't know if this is going to be part of the training, is how to get more buyers.
How to get more buyers. Okay, perfect. Who else? Abe. Sorry. How to best serve. Okay, perfect. You guys already flipped through the manual. Come up with something new. Okay, perfect. Chris.
So I like going to presentations to hear something different and new that I haven't heard from everyone else.
Okay.
So don't be a lemming.
Don't.
Be a lemming.
You got to help me out with that.
It's
No.
furry animals that they all are in a herd and they run off the cliff.
Oh, I'm so far from. I'm Italian and Portuguese. I've been in counseling for years for that. So I promise you've never talked to anybody like me. I am crazy. I've been up since the last 9 days, getting ready for today. I can't wait for today to go over so I can sleep again. So what specifically, when you decided to sign up, what specifically are you hoping to get out of today?
Like I said, I've heard lots of presentations.
Okay.
Every time I go someplace, someone has a different way of saying it.
Okay.
Or a different perspective.
Okay.
I'm looking for those little knowledge nuggets.
I love it. I love it. What I like to say is the content doesn't change. It's the approach at delivering it. The message doesn't change. It's the approach at delivering it. And if we can just use that as a moment, is like, how are we communicating with our clients compared to our competition? Are we saying the same thing? Because if we do, what are we doing? We're commoditizing ourselves, right? We're not building value. Because the last 4 open houses they went to, they heard the same thing. Are you pre-qualified? Do you have an agent? It's like a question. It's like they think that like on the back of our license it has these same questions that we all say, right? So I promise you I will address things in a different, unique style because I think that's huge. You can't build value if you're saying the same thing that everybody else is saying the same way. Please.
It's to show comparison is no different than walking into a store and someone asking you, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? And you're saying, just looking.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
looking. That's the buyers. They're just looking. Yeah, I have an agent. You didn't think I
Yeah.
have an agent.
So can we use differentiating yourself for that? Different, because you're asking me, you're hoping that I can differentiate myself from the rest that you've been in, and I think that all of us can do that in our presentation. We just put differentiating. Is that fair? Anyone else?
So the mind reading, are you able to do a
The mind reading is kind of funny. I just had to put it up there.
I know, but NLP, is that something?
There is a lot of NLP in the manual. Yeah. So, but I don't want to tell you ahead of time because then I can't use it on you for the rest of the day. So I'll let you figure that out as we go. Please.
How to keep your buyers stay committed?
Can you put NLP right there? NLP? You said something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, in my experience, maybe tell me I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
I never used a buyer's agent, a buyer broker agreement. Never.
Okay. That was a topic I was gonna have one of the panelists ask the question, but I'm like, I can't have them ask that question because I've never used it. The reason why I haven't, there's a lot of people that use it, but the reason why I haven't used it is I haven't found someone that's been able to present it to me in a fashion where I would sign it if I didn't know them. Right. Does that make sense? If I could find someone that could sell me on the idea, I would use it. I would use it because it's like a listing, right? You take a listing for a home. You don't market a home unless you get a listing contract. So that's going to be a hard one for me because I don't, at this point right now, I don't really use them. So,
I don't either.
So anyone else?
Yeah, I got one.
Please.
I'm a little weak in the open house
Okay.
process in regards to trying to identify which of the many visitors to focus on, which ones these to detect.
Okay.
Say, that's the one I should go for, and if these two walk out, well, it's okay.
I should have Kim stand up and tell you that. She knows all about that.
Yeah.
She's done more open houses than probably everyone combined. So what would we call that? What should we call that, Kim? He's saying on all the people that walk in the open house, he's saying, how do you pinpoint the ones we're supposed to talk to, right?
Zoning in on identifying the interested ones.
Zoning in, how about zoning in on motivated buyers? Sorting? I like that. Sorting. Okay. So let's go identifying motivated buyers at open houses and / sorting. Anyone else? We can get this done by noon.
For me, I would, instead of sorting, I think of it as filtering. So you filter out who is the most potential.
Tell me more about that.
Because for me, for instance, this past weekend, we've had 2 open houses at 2 separate houses. And we tag team. It was crazy. We had buyers coming in and then I'm helping one, she's helping one. But we kind of we take that time to speak with each and every single one of them.
Okay.
Not just, here, sign in.
Got it.
Actually have
Got it. So you don't use the sign-in sheets?
I do.
Okay.
Each individual person has a little piece of sheet that actually let me ask his personal questions. Do you currently own a home? Are you currently
Got it.
renting?
So it's more consultative, right?
Exactly. So
Okay.
you make it more personable.
More
And once
personable.
you take that time speaking with them, you kind of get a sense, okay, are they serious or
Got it.
serious shoppers,
Okay.
serious buyers, or they're just, we're just looking around. And then by the time you know it, you have tons of real serious leads.
Yeah.
And ones that you kind of
Perfect.
slowly follow up on.
Okay, I like that.
To me, it's more like filtering out, so you're not wasting your time.
Filtering out, okay.
You get a sense of who is actually serious or not by actually taking the time, 5 minutes to speak with them.
No, I like it.
Here, just sign in.
So we should put motivated buyer / sorting / filtering. Because I think they all kind of fit in there. But I like your
Establishing value.
establishing value. You read the manual. Did you read the manual? Because that's what this whole thing's about. Perfect. Establishing value. Okay, one last one. Auctions.
Talk about auctions at all today.
We won't be covering auctions. But actually, you know what? We do cover auctions in our sellers class. Good thing you brought that up. No, I'm just kidding. Because we believe we use a lot of the similar techniques when it comes to selling homes, so we can create frenzies. But we won't be covering auctions today. Okay, one last one. Arvin, I saved the best for last.
Cold call.
Cold call, okay.
How do you take that cold call and turn it into a warm lead?
Okay. Yeah. So you want to call it like sign? Because see, the thing is, I think that the approach is the same wherever it is.
Yeah, it's how do you
conversion? Okay.
Your speech. I mean, how do you call and be different than the other guy that called?
Okay, I like it. So we're going to talk about, we'll say conversion, because we already have differentiating.
Yeah.
Conversion. Okay, I like it. I was going to send you guys a challenging thought, but I'm afraid it's going to send you out of the room right away. I'm going to wait at least a few more hours before we do that. Anyone else? We good? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking more tips for self-improvement, because when you improve yourself, you improve your way of capturing the
Self-improvement. Wow. It's not in that manual, but it's in my manual. You were looking over at my manual. Okay, so we're going to call it self-improvement.
You improve yourself.
I like it. I like it. I like it. This is great. It's like you guys have been like looking over the material for me the whole time. So, well, great. Thank you so much for doing that. Because if I'm going to say that we have to be willing to abandon our presentation in a moment, I just want to let you know that I'm willing to do the same thing. And I've done this with thousands of agents and hundreds of trainings all over the U.S. the same way, because I know my craft really, really well, which we're going to get into that. And we really need to make the decision to know our craft that well. When you know your craft at that level, people become getting attracted to you. You start saying things that none of the other agents are saying. They want to work with you. You're sitting across from the agent, right? The buyer's sitting across from the agent, and they're like, in their mind, this is the conversation you're creating in their mind. This is the first mind reading piece. Here's the conversation you're creating. Oh my gosh, I have the wrong agent. Do you want every buyer that you talk to say, oh my gosh, I have the wrong agent? Only 2 of you?
No.
How many people want that? 3 people. How many people want every time they're in front of a buyer for them to say in their mind, oh my gosh, I have the wrong agent? About 4 people. Have some more coffee, please. So anyways, that's important for us to...
I think people are confused. They're thinking, you bombard people, do you have an agent? Everybody has an agent. Everybody's
Okay.
shopping, but they're always shopping for a new and better agent.
So
they just don't know it.
I'm going to clarify exactly that. Thank you, April. What I'm saying is every time you're either on the phone or in front of a client, and at the end of that conversation, you want them to come to the conclusion that they're working currently with the wrong agent. We're not creating new business, guys. We're not. We're not creating new business. We are out there in the field, and we're taking agents or taking clients from other agents because of our craft, not stealing. They're making the choice to end their previous relationships. Make sense? Okay. So anyways, we got a list of that. Let me share with you some things. I have to really set some ground rules. I just want you to know that today I'm going to share some ideas with you that you might not agree with. And if you don't, it's okay. There's going to be times today that we might have an argument, an unspoken argument, because you might not agree with one of the points. That's okay, because I'm not asking you to agree with everything that I'm saying. Does that make sense? I don't think I have real estate all figured out. I don't think that I've arrived. I don't think that my ways of doing business is the only way of doing it. So I want to share with that as well with you. And I want you to think about these ideas that we share as a group today. I want you to think about it kind of like a buffet. Does that make sense? So as you're going down the buffet line, if you find something that you really like, take some and put it on your plate. Otherwise, just push it aside and leave it for someone else. Is that fair? If that's fair, say that's fair. Great, great. So now that we got that point across, just kidding. It's my Italian coming out of me. Let's just jump right in. My goal for our time together is to teach you an approach at communicating with buyers. First paragraph, communicating with buyers, extremely effective through scripts I've learned and created. That's great. I'm going to pause real quick. Learned and created. Here's the thing. The scripts that I'm going to share with you guys today, the sales presentations I'm going to share with you guys today, I've done them thousands of times, whether they're in front of a possible client or whether they're in front of an audience, thousands of times. Does that make sense? So because of that, I found out that I really feel that the coaching and training industry really sells it short because everybody's trying to sound like the trainer that taught them. Does that make sense? So with that said, I added part B. In addition, I will impart the components that I believe make up effective sales approaches, from setting expectations for the buying process to handling inner conflict, emotional reluctance, and fear to act throughout the buying process. So I'm going to share some ideas with you so that way as you're moving down the road of mastery, you're going to be able to create a dialogue and a script and a presentation in a moment's notice in order to connect with the person in front of you. Does that sound like something you want to learn? Okay, so when I say setting expectations, what does that mean to you? What does setting expectations mean to you? Result. Setting expectations for the... Okay, positive result. What is setting expectations? Thank you, Abe.
Letting them know what to expect.
Letting them know what to expect. Okay.
Set the agenda.
Okay, perfect.
Lay out, time frame for each thing approximately.
Setting the time frame. Okay, I like it. Anyone else? Can you add to that?
The last thing you're going to expect.
The last thing you're going to expect.
Destination.
Destination, what it looks like. Perfect.
Making your job easier.
Making your job easier. Let me ask you a question. Should the expectation be, should we tell them what to expect? Or should we find out what they expect? Or should we have a combination of both? Right? Because I think everyone has a different definition of good service. Make sense? Okay, let's jump right in. Let's keep moving here. So how about handling inner conflict? What does that mean, handling inner conflict? I can't hear you, Abe. Resolve. Okay. Handling inner conflict. Tell me more. Let's add to that. What does inner conflict mean to you? Handling inner conflict. What does it mean? Doubts and fears. I love that. Please.
I was going to say that. Inner conflict, to me, it means like doubting myself.
Doubting yourself.
So I, try to stay positive, think positive.
Okay.
Positive outcome, and don't doubt yourself.
I like it. Please.
Something like any objections to my wants, needs, and desires.
Okay. Objections to your wants, needs, and desires. Please.
Indecision.
Indecision. I like it. Has there ever been a time where you've actually called a salesperson or called the company because you wanted to buy something, and then after that they called you 10 times, and every time you look at your phone, you're like, why are they bothering me? And we were the one that did the initial contact. The reason why they're bothering you is because you expressed a desire to want to buy their product, but you're in inner conflict. And it's because the sales professional or the consultant, because I know I hear in my head right now some of you are saying, I'm not a salesperson. We'll get to that later. But the inner conflict is, how are we solving the inner conflict, the most common inner conflict that our buyers have right now? The media works against us, right? The media is working against us, right? They're usually late to the party. They usually give the information about the market too late. So how well are we at handling inner conflict? Because if we can guide them down to inner conflict, is that a value builder? You ever met a client and you're like, how long have you looked for a home? And they're like, 9 years, right? That was kind of, I'm waking you guys up. And usually, when you ask a buyer that, they'll say, a lot of times, more often than not, they'll say 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. My next question is, how many houses have you bought? And they start laughing. Got one laugh in the back. Thank you, John, for that laugh. I appreciate that. Right? Because the thing is all the other agents that they've worked with haven't been able to help them with their inner conflict. Haven't been able to get them down the road of self-discovery to buy a home. Whereas my team and I, and I'm going to pick on Kim. But you guys don't know who Kim is because she doesn't have a name tag on. But Kim will tell you, even in crazy markets, we were able to put a buyer in a home within 5 to 7 days. We get them as a client, and they're in the home within 5 to 7 days. How do you do that? Stay tuned. But if you're able to handle the inner conflict, then you're going to be able to build businesses. You're going to be able to pick up more buyers because you're going to be saying things that the rest of your competition isn't saying. Does that make sense? Okay. Next part. Emotional reluctance. What does that mean? Emotional reluctance. The whole training is based off this top paragraph. So I want to hear what your perspective on this is, so then I can hear your perspective and connect with you, and then I can give you my perspective, and we can bring both of them together. Is that fair? Okay. So when you hear emotional reluctance, what does that mean? Fear. Emotional reluctance, fear. I like that. What else?
They're scared the market's going to crash.
They're scared the market's going to crash. Okay. Perfect. Emotional reluctance. I love it. Tell me more.
Misinformation.
Misinformation. Okay. Awesome. I call that Uncle Jed. We'll talk about Uncle Jed later. All of us have at least one Uncle Jed in our life. I'll tell you about Uncle Jed later. If I keep saying that, I'm keeping you in the room. If I tell you all now, you'll leave after lunch.
Not enough information.
Not enough information. Okay. What else do you hear when I hear emotional reluctance?
Fear of commitment.
Fear of commitment. Huge. I like it. What else? Emotional reluctance. One more comment.
Negative influence.
Negative influence. Awesome. I love that. You did read through the manual. Okay, next. Fear to act. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Fear to act.
You're afraid of making a wrong decision.
Got it. I'm afraid of making a wrong decision. Anyone else? One more time. Is it the right time? I think we should have a cereal box that says, is it the right time? Okay, anyone else? Fear to act. What does that mean? Afraid of making commitment. Emotional reluctance and fear to act is it's around that area. But I think fear to act is specific about I'm scared to make a move, right? A lot of people are recovering from what happened back in 2008, right? Do you think they're a little nervous now? Yeah. Do you think it's still in their memory? It might take a little bit more time for them to recover from that. I can tell you from small subdivision and land that I've sold over the years, it's hard for me to sell land to someone and convince the developers to do all the entitlements and spend the money investing because they're afraid every day they're thinking they're blessings that the market hasn't turned yet, right? And even if I'm giving them map, so for those of you, what I'm saying is this is where you take raw land and you get permission to build a subdivision, right? Even the developers are having a difficult time. And those guys do this as work, right? And they put a lot of money on the line for all their projects. So they have fear to act. So what else does fear to act mean to you?
To me, when I read it and I see fear to act, I automatically think, okay, so they have that fear to act, so what can I do? I would like to know how to build the trust so that way they can trust me enough to conquer their fears.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is fear to act to you means trust. How do I earn trust? That's huge. Anyone else? I like it. And discovering what it is. I like it. Do you see how I asked the same question like 5 or 6 times and I got completely different answers? So the question I have as you're looking at your business, just write a little next to where we're talking, the first paragraph. I promise you we'll get done with the first page by 3 o'clock this afternoon. I promise. I just want you to write a little note and say, how good am I at unpeeling the layers? How good are you? Or do you just settle for the first answer? I asked like 5 times, and I know some of you in the room are thinking, when is he just going to move on? The SC's personality profile is saying, there's no way he's going to get done with this by 9 o'clock tonight. And I promise you I'll get you out about 8:30. So just rate it there. Here's the thing. Every script, every dialogue, and every presentation, in my opinion, has to encompass all this. Because otherwise, you're going to put them right back on the market until they wait for the next agent to try to talk them through their fears, talk them through their emotional reluctance. Does that make sense? So when I talk about mastery, the reason why I named this class Mastery is this takes time to do. There's a process involved. Does that make sense? And the process, number 1, is for you to understand what the DISC profile is. How many of you are familiar with the DISC? 4 people. How many of you are familiar with the DISC? Let's go second time, see if the answers are the same. Perfect, awesome. The DISC profile is huge. So I'd write this down. Find out what this DISC is. Find out what the DISC is. Take the DISC. Be completely honest with yourself about the DISC. And learn about it. And I can sit across from someone when I'm talking to them and I can know what their DISC is so I can connect with them, right? By some of the ways that some of you have answered questions, I already know what your DISC profile is. Why? Because I've studied it. Because mastery is not a destination, it's a process. You guys with me? So learning the DISC is your first step to helping with all this. Because, I'm an 81D, which the D is like the drill sergeant mentality. They bust through the walls. They count the dead bodies after the job is over, right? They walk around offending people constantly, but they have no idea that they're offending them. No idea. I was hired for a job. Look at them and say, I'm so sorry I got offended. I got my job done. My boss is happy. My client's happy. And then I'm a high I. And the high I is, so the high D doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter to them to offend people because they just like, get over it, right? And then the high I is someone that doesn't want to offend anybody, right? They don't want to offend anybody. They wear their emotions on their sleeves, right? And they're always worried, like when somebody doesn't like them, they want to know why they didn't like them. They want to fix it. Does that make sense? And so here's the thing is, I'm 81 high D and 81 I. I have so much inner conflict. Majority of my arguments are with myself. Does that make sense? So when I talk about inner conflict, that's why I'm a master at inner conflict, because just existing is enough inner conflict for me. You with me? And then when you get into the SC, those are more of the personalities that are more apt to being in administrative positions. They're more apt to be, they want really step-by-step systems. You know, the high S, the step-by-step systems. If you give them a sheet with boxes and they can check it, every time they check it, they're like, yes, I'm succeeding. They're just excited. The high D will lose the paper that the boxes even are on. You never give a high D paperwork because they're going to lose it. Don't take it personally, but they're going to lose it. And then the C is a person who really is very compliant. They follow rules, right? And there's no gray to a high C. It's either right or wrong. It's either black or white. You know, I remember reading one of the books by one of the real estate books, and he said, top producers live in the gray. And I was like, whew, because I live in the gray, right? So it's important for you to know a lot about the DISC. Question or comments on the DISC, or any insights you want to share with the group in regards to the DISC.